For more, let's speak to our correspondent in Rome, Seema Gupta. Hello to you, Seema. These cross-party talks were tense. Is Meloni really poised to be the new prime minister?
Well, the president, Sergio Mattarella, began his consultations with all the different parties on Thursday and continued today with the key consultations with that right-wing coalition led by Giorgia Meloni. And when she came out of a meeting that lasted just 11 minutes or so, she essentially flanked on either side by Silvio Berlusconi and Matteo Salvini that are part of this right-wing coalition. She said a decision was unanimous for her to lead Italy, at least as far as this right-wing coalition is concerned. That's what they presented to the president. And she said she's ready to form a government as quick as possible. We now know that the president has convocated her to come to the presidential palace later this afternoon, and he's expected to give her the mandate to form a government. It will be interesting, of course, to see what cabinet she puts forward. But even coming to this point, it has been a turbulent and tense situation, particularly with one of her coalition partners, 86-year-old former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, really being the spanner in the works, undermining the 45-year-old Giorgia Meloni at various points. We saw when there was the election for the Speaker of the Senate, in which it was a key member of her party that eventually did win that position, but without the support of Mr. Berlusconi's party. And he wrote on a piece of paper that was in public view in the parliament, describing Ms. Meloni in these words: overbearing, domineering, arrogant and offensive. So clearly that was picked up by the local media. Then we saw the other audio leaks coming out, in which we heard him discussing with other members of his party how he had a particular relationship with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, describing how they exchanged sweet letters and gifts of vodka as well from the Russian president. And then there was a second audio leaked in which he blamed the Ukrainians for the war in their country, and particularly criticized the Ukrainian President Zelensky. Mr. Berlusconi said that these leaked audio tapes essentially were taken out of context, but Ms. Meloni clearly had enough of them, essentially issuing an ultimatum that she and her government is pro-NATO and pro the European Union, and that anyone who does not follow that line cannot be part of the government, at the risk of even not forming a government. So clearly very frustrated, Ms. Meloni, for her part, but she can't form this government without those right-wing partners in her coalition. So really today we saw, for the first time after all of these tensions and turbulence, the three of them standing together, and Ms. Meloni, for her part, wanting to go forward faster in order to deal, of course, with the problems that regular Italians are dealing with, like high energy prices and concern about the war in Ukraine.
And Seema, any idea who might be given those top ministerial posts?
Well, really, it's those cabinet positions that really is the reason behind a lot of the divisions within this right-wing coalition. Forza Italia, the party of Silvio Berlusconi, a name that's been tapped a lot is his right-hand man, Antonio Tajani. Now, he is being tipped to be the foreign minister. Of course, with these comments about the Russian president, there was some concern about a Forza Italia man taking on this role. Mr. Tajani traveled to Brussels just on Thursday to try and assure the EU allies that his party is condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Another name that's being brought up is for the economy minister, of course, that the finance minister, of course, that is a key role considering the concerns about Italy's financial situation. The name that's being mentioned is Giancarlo Giorgetti. Now, he is the deputy of the right-wing League party, the party of Matteo Salvini. He actually is the industry minister in the current government, the outgoing government of Prime Minister Mario Draghi. So we'll have to see whether there were these compromises compromise made once the name of those ministers are brought forward. And we could expect Ms. Meloni, in fact, and her government being sworn in as early as this weekend. And eventually she will have to speak to the two houses of parliament, and then there will be a vote of confidence on this government. But with her right-wing coalition having a majority in both houses, it is expected that it will go through. But of course, all eyes will be on those names to see what compromises have been made, if at all, to appease the likes of Mr. Berlusconi as well as Mr. Salvini in the creation of this right-wing coalition government.
All right, Seema, thank you very much. Seema Gupta reporting from Rome.